Holidays are coming up, and you might want to get a gift for that favorite 3D printer in your life, or maybe you have a 3D printer and you're wondering what the heck can you buy that you can't just 3D print. Not all of these are technically that answer, but I got a pretty good list here of some awesome gifts for people with 3D printers. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here and you like this kind of thing where we talk all about 3D printing, 3D scanning, and the related accessories around it, make sure to leave a like and get subscribed. It's greatly appreciated. The list here, I did my best to keep it under $100. There's a couple of products, specifically the wash and cure stations, that can go above that price point, but everything else is under 100 US dollars, assuming you don't want to go a little extra spicy, and if the companies do happen to extend their Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals, hey, maybe you'll be able to get a pretty good deal. If not, I'm sorry, this video is recorded early and the sales are sales. But what isn't a Black Friday or Cyber Monday deal is our sponsor, 3D Musketeers. Remember, if you are kind of tired of dealing with your 3D printer, or maybe you know someone who's been a little more frustrated than they should be, I'm not talking about anybody specifically. If you think I'm talking about you, maybe you should reach out to the pros at 3D Musketeers. We have over 40 machines and over 40 years of combined experience helping people just like you get your machines back up and running, or honestly, just taking over the work for you with our print farm, some of which you can see normally running right behind me. We do high-end 3D scanning as well as laser cutting and CNC milling if that happens to be your cup of tea. But if it isn't, we totally get that, but you do want to help support the channel, a couple of bucks in that creator fund every month does go a long way to helping us make this content continually for you. Patreon or YouTube channel members, links of course in that description down below. And hey, times are tight this year and not everyone's got a couple of dollars to spend. I totally understand, but if you do like the content, of course, a like, subscribe, and a share go a long way to helping the channel grow, which means maybe we stop doing the sponsor segues for ourselves. Maybe some of the companies in this list might be on my short list for sponsors. That'd be kind of cool. Anyways, let's get rolling in no particular order. We're gonna start off with something that I did not believe in until I got one, and then I saw her face. And now, Diamondback Nozzles. Now, again, they're not cheap, but I will tell you, they're pretty damn cool. They actually start out in this vial as diamond. This is the raw media that Champion X and Diamondback used to create the Diamondback Nozzles. Then they are sintered and pressed in a really, really hot oven at high temperatures. I could get into all the specifics, but I can just card to the video where we talk to the guys over at Champion X and Diamondback all about this technology. These nozzles are literally as hard as diamond, but at $95, they're not cheap. I mean, obviously there's other nozzles in this list. This is the most expensive nozzle that we have, but I really don't think you'll need any other nozzle than what you will get with the Diamondback. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, they're not impervious. Obviously, the brass can wear out over time, but I've been sending it, so we'll see what happens. And of course, they do have a lifetime warranty, but I will say I've got most of their nozzles here. Our Big Fusion 3, which runs above me, that is running a 0.6, and that's a 0.6 Volcano, by the way. The Prusa right here behind me goes between a 0.6 and a 0.4, and while the 0.4 does tend to clog up with carbon fiber, I do find that it's really easy to clear that clog because it is diamond and it is effectively impervious to basically everything except other diamond. That means you can absolutely use a acupuncture needle to clean it without damaging the nozzle whatsoever. Again, expensive, but at $95, it is the last nozzle you should ever need. So there's a good value there, I think. Let's say you're not feeling immediately too spicy and you don't want to spend $95 on a nozzle and you're okay with going to hardened steel. The Nozzle X from E3D is an awesome option. The big benefit of the diamond over hardened steel is that you don't need to up your temperature, but instead lower it. With hardened steel, you do need to raise your temperature about 5 to 10 degrees centigrade minimum to get the performance you're used to, and that is because the thermal conductivity is lower. Mind you, these are $30 nozzles and you can get 3 of them with a couple of dollars to spare for the price of a Diamondback. And yes, these do also come with lifetime warranties. But if you are someone that likes to fly close to the sun and really mess around with the upper levels of what a 300 degrees centigrade hot end can do, the Diamondback is going to be better bang for the buck there. But if you're just someone that wants to mess around with some carbon fibers here or there, a Nozzle X in a 0.6. I don't know if I would recommend a 0.4 hardened. I might go to a 0.6. I think they're a little more valuable. They don't get clogged as often. You can run them a bit faster. There's great value in the Nozzle X. And as Sanjay said, of course, rest in peace, Sanjay. The day that I'm filming this video is the 1-year anniversary of his passing. So that's a little bit hard, but of course we did interview Sanjay right before his passing. We'll card that video so you guys can take a look. Anyways, these are great nozzles. I have a few of them, and E3D wants them back if you happen to wear them out, which is pretty cool. I dig that. But okay, maybe you're not exactly feeling a new nozzle. You're feeling a whole new hot end. The E3D Revo SIx to me is one of the best bang for the buck upgrades that you can make right now in the 3D printing market. I understand there are other manufacturers out there for hot ends. Of course, Fadis is one of the large ones that a lot of people know, and we are hoping to do some videos with their products coming soon, but I have to get them in first and do some evaluations. Until then, I'm going to immediately recommend the Revo system. I love my Revos. They just freaking work. And as someone that hates changing nozzles, the Revo makes it easy. One-handed, cold nozzle changes without any BS at all. There's no torquing. You just literally finger tight and you're done. Now, the only issue with the Revo system is the nozzles have integrated heat breaks and therefore are a little bit pricier than you would want or what you might be used to for a regular V6 style nozzle. But they of course have the Revo SIx, which is drop-in compatible with any V6 hot end. You just remove the V6 hot end, you put this one in, Bob's your auntie, you're good to go. And of course, they have the Revo Micro, which is the little tiny boy right here. Now, you can get these from your favorite suspects when it comes to 3D printing, whether it's Printed Solid, Philistruder, or even E3D themselves, among many others. I'm sure Matter Hackers also carries them. Even at 95, I think, again, it is pushing the upper echelon. And if you are looking to get hardened nozzles, Obsidian is supposed to be out. There were some delays. Obsidian is on the way. Unfortunately, it's not here right now. I've got some Obsidians. I've been using them. This is a control unit. I'm doing some fun testing with E3D, and that means I need one that I've never printed with. So this one will just kind of hang out here while all the other ones work their absolute keisters off. But I will say at 39 pounds, they're a pretty good value in a nozzle similarly. And Tom Savlider actually did a really cool video where he tested the Obsidian to see how much stronger it was over a standard brass nozzle. We'll card to that video so you guys can take a look at it. It was a really, really cool video. Like, good job, Tom, on that one. One of your most interesting videos to me in a long time. But do note, of course, with the Revo system, this heat break being integrated means that is your weak spot. If your nozzle slams and collides into a print, chances are you're going to bend the heat break. And, well, that can be a little rough. I have seen some people successfully bend everything back in place, but I don't know if I would trust it for a mission-critical job. So if you are going to get a Revo, I might recommend grabbing the full kit. But of course, it is over $100, so obviously buy as you might need. Obviously, for the FDM lovers out there, filament is a great option. If the person you're buying for has a filament printer, filament is a great option. And if Printed Solid brings them back in stock, the Jesse subscription box is awesome. 2 kilos a month, $37.95, delivered to your door. I've had it now for almost a year, and it's great. The colors are awesome. We got a really, really cool color that I'm hoping Dave puts into actual production. I would love to see it. But of course, Printed Solid has some really beautiful colors like their Soul Black Glitter, Mystery Orange. I have been digging Yellowbird. It's basically Steelers yellow. And of course, Brad's Orange, named after one of our own, Brad. Great colors, and it's been incredibly consistent to me. In fact, I'm going to be putting in an order for more design white because I'm running low. It is an often requested color. They do have 175 and 285, but because they do only have 2 filament lines, one for PLA, one for PETG, which we went all through. It was an awesome video. Go check it out. We'll link to it in the card above. They don't produce as fast as other manufacturers. I would recommend Atomic Filament as well for domestic producers of filament. There's also Push Plastic, and we are looking at some others as well to add into our list of domestic filament producers that we'd love to work with. And of course, Protopasta, they are a little pricey, and like Protopasta is very expensive filament, but the colors are amazing. They're nebulas, beautiful. And I have some nebula that I picked up from the East Coast Rep Rap Festival. Gosh, it's tough to print with it because if it fails, it's like, I know I only have so little of it. So Protopasta, if you're watching this, hit me up. I would love to start using your filament more often. My one complaint is that no one that orders from us wants Crazy Nebula, but I want to print in Crazy Nebula, but I don't do a lot of personal 3D printing anymore. So Protopasta, let's figure out a really cool thing. Or printed solid. I'm open to either. Love you, Dave. And of course, if you're 3D printing lover or yourself might be lacking in the computer department, computer upgrades are always awesome. And if you don't know, just ask. It's much better to blow a surprise than to get the wrong stuff, unless you're going to deliberately get the wrong stuff as a complete red herring, and then I absolutely 100% recommend that. But most computers that are at least a year old use DDR4 RAM. And if they've got 16 gigs, hey, an upgraded 32 can be had for under $100. And you can even put some of that RGB goodness in there if they like a little bit of the rainbow vomit. Of course, mouse and keyboards are always nice. Of course, check with the person. They might be a bit of a keyboard or a mouse snob, but I've got some options that I like down in that description down below. Of course, links to everything that we talk about will be down there as well. And unfortunately, RAM and peripherals are pretty much the only thing you're going to get for under $100, but I will say something that I've enjoyed heavily are monitors. Now, if these do come back on sale, they will be over $100, but these are amazing monitors. If you are looking to spend a little bit of extra money over that $100 point, these are awesome monitors. I'm running a pair of them right now. The HP 27-inch, the X27Q. The 2021 model is the one that you would want. It likely has the LG panels. Both of mine are LG panels. It is 165 hertz, IPS, 1440p, and it is basically color accurate out of the box. I've applied a color grading to my monitors to make them more color accurate, but damn, they're good out of the box. I got mine for $170 US. In fact, I can prove it. These monitors are absolutely amazing. And if you have someone that loves peripherals and is maybe running 8-year-old monitors like I was, this is a great option when it goes on sale. It was recently on sale for $170. I bought it for $160, so I'm assuming it will come down in price again. Keep an eye on it. To me, it is one of the best bang for the buck monitors on the market, and it is completely stealthy. It does not look gamer whatsoever, and yet it will hang with some of the big boys out there for monitors. Speaking of monitors, if you want to monitor your 3D prints, Wyze cams are pretty much my pick here. Wyze is known for having cheap cameras, whether it is the V3, the Pan, or whatever it might be, that are great for monitoring, well, anything. I have them in our shop, we have them on the farm, and I have them kind of around the house so I can keep an eye on things both indoors and outdoors. The V3s work great, don't get them wet, so as long as they're underneath a covering, they're totally fine. In fact, mine have been through multiple hurricanes without a single problem. I'm not advocating that you leave them outside, but you know, hey, they're $30 cameras. Do with them as you please. But these are awesome for monitoring your 3D printers when you are not around. Ultimately, it is impossible to always be monitoring 3D printers. It doesn't make sense. You are going to need to go away at some point, and the printer's going to have to keep running. It's a guarantee. It's going to happen at some point. And that means you need to have a way to monitor your 3D prints. You could just put a Wham Bam cloud above it and just send it and say, if it catches fire, it catches fire. But if your printer is producing a big plate of spaghetti, I would like something to be able to at least see that that is occurring. And a Wyze cam is a cheap way to do it that doesn't require another computer, a Raspberry Pi, or anything. They are completely self-contained, they run off of USB, and they are dirt freaking cheap. Even better, they integrate into smart homes. They have their own smart plugs in it. You might choose to stick within the Wyze ecosystem, but personally, I prefer the Kasa ecosystem from TP-Link. I have these Kasa smart plugs on every single 3D printer. Why? Because if I am out and I notice one of the printers is failing, I can go to my phone and I can shut off that particular printer. If you've noticed, all the Pruses behind me, and every one of our Pruses, all have accent colors on them. The one at the end is fluorescent yellow, then we go to marble, then we go to blue, and this one here is white. I know which one is which because the plugs are named after the color of the printer. If marble here is giving me crap, I can just turn it off. Mind you, turning off a printer when it's hot is not a good idea. You want to turn it off and then turn it back on about 5 or 10 seconds later so that it can cool itself down. Now, your print is trash, but you're not going to come back to a worse problem. Think about being as proactive as you can in your reaction. Now, if you do combine this with maybe like a computer, maybe that's running a 3DQ software where they're doing some sort of failure detection, Obico Spaghetti Detective, or Octo Everywhere's new spaghetti detection software as well. Yeah, okay, I can see the value of having a computer instead of just a camera like a Wyze Cam, but that might obviously run a bit more than $100. And these Kasa mini plugs are really affordable. And they do have some really cool ones that will also do energy monitoring. So if you are curious as to how much energy your printers are using, you can go ahead and get those ones as well. Amazon routinely runs deals on them, so keep an eye out. Of course, they have indoor, they have outdoor, they have power strips, which was not enough for my wall of printers, which is upsetting, so I have to have multiple small plugs, but I digress. And I also love their smart dimmers. I have them in multiple rooms. They are amazing. Absolutely recommended. Easy install too, which is bonus nachos. They do, of course, have security cameras. I haven't done too much work with them, to be honest. But hey, you know, if you want to stick in an ecosystem, this also might not be a bad move for you. But personally, I've been using Wyze since they first came out. I have a few V2s that have bad sensors from the sun, and I like them. They work well. But in terms of plugs, I use Kasa. If you are looking for an affordable option to just have a very slight upgrade that is going to, well, could make it look better, right? But make your printer perform better, Capricorn Bowden tubing is a very affordable upgrade that can be done in just a couple of minutes. And you can get it in a wide flavor of fun colors, including pink, but that looks red. I'm going to call it red because red is the fastest color. So put that on, it'll make your printers faster. And that is not a guarantee. But yeah, lots of different colors for their Capricorn tubing and good deals on the bulk tubing should you want to get some bulk. Now, do note there are clones out there for this. Make sure if you are going to buy Capricorn tubing that you are buying official Cap tube. You don't want to be buying any of the generic BS out there. They're not good. Don't waste your time. And I do also happen to really like their tubing cutters. It gives you a perfect cut on your PTFE. So even if you choose not to do cap tubing, the tubing cutters, you can run a generic one of that, I guess, are great options for those that do have PTFE lined hot ends. But if you do have a PTFE lined hot end, you might say, I want to go all metal. Now, we talked about the Revo earlier. That, of course, is an all metal hot end. But there are other options that exist out there from companies like Microswiss. We interviewed the Microswiss guys at the East Coast Rep Rap Festival. In fact, we interviewed a lot of these companies at the East Coast Rep Rap Festival. We will card that entire playlist so you guys can take a look. But they have some awesome all metal hot ends, awesome extruder kits. Now, their extruder kits are a little pricey, but they do go on sale. So right now they're running a 35% off for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. $120, 35% off. You're getting it for a little bit under $80 which is a great price for their NG Direct Drive extruder, which did win first place in Proper Printing's extruder shootout. We'll have a link to that in the description down below if you guys want to check out that video. It's a really cool video. But they have options, of course, as well if you wanted to do something a little bit different. Microswiss is, unlike their name, made in the USA. So if you do want to support a USA company making USA stuff, they're a great place to start. If you are a little tight on cash and you don't want to support some of the bigger guys out there, maybe you're looking to spend a little bit less money. I get it. I mean, obviously try to support real companies and not the clones when you can. But if you're tight on cash, you want to give someone something cool, all metal hot-end upgrade kits are a great way to do it. I can't really speak for basically any of these other than the Microswiss, which was up here. I can't speak for effectively any of these. They're all weird, and I don't know if they're going to work any good. So buyer beware, and, you know, maybe have a spare or something. They're cheap enough that you could buy a couple and not really worry about it too much. But all metal hot ends do exist. There are these V6 style clones. Most of them suck. Please don't, like, can you do this? Yes, but it is always preferred that you support the original companies that make the quality products. Alternatively, you can just look at some of these cheaper PTFE lined hot ends, get some cheap nozzles with it, and just say, you know what? Hey, it's better than nothing. You can look at Phaetus Dragonflies. They are pretty great hot ends from my understanding. Of course, I have not played with one yet. There are options. We would include Slice Engineering in this, but Slice, unfortunately, tends to be a little bit on the expensive side, but they do make some of the best hot ends out there. They are a little expensive, as we said, but boy howdy, are they well made. And I believe they're actually made a little bit north of me up in Gainesville, Florida. I owe Dan a tour. We got to go up there and do a tour of Slice Engineering. Let me know if you guys want to see that and when you might want to see me go up and take a gander as to what they do over at Slice. And yes, you can absolutely spend a ton of money with Slice Engineering, but their products are really, really well made, and they're backed by the quality that Slice produces. I would love check out some of their latest things like the Mosquito Fork Reality, the Mosquito Liquid, or the Mosquito Magnum Plus, which is just a chungus of a hot end that is able to push a ton of plastics. From there, a decent set of hex keys. If you or the 3D printer in your life does not have a good set of hex keys, I highly recommend looking at a good set of hex keys. They don't have to be expensive to be good. Now, I will say I have quite a few sets of the Amazon Basics. They work, but they're nothing to really write home about. I have a few sets of ones like this as well, but I generally will just buy them from Harbor Freight. They're cheaper that way. Again, they work, but they're really nothing to write home about. Ones that I did write home about and I got as a holiday gift last year was this specific Bondis. The 10687 is currently unavailable, but it was $16, and these are awesome. I guess the kit that you can get right now is this 5-piece kit. You lose the smallest one, but I've never used it. So it is, of course, a little bit more expensive. Well, regular price is quite a bit more expensive, but I would still say these are great value. They, like regular screwdrivers, but they have ball and hex keys. That is the big thing to look out for if you are going to get hex keys. Ones like this, I haven't seen often as ball ends, but ones like this, absolutely get them as ball ends. And this set of Weira's is, oh my God, so good. But do note, do not buy SAE hex keys. Some of them will come as sets, right? The Amazon is both inch and metric. 3D printers use metric, so the metric is really all that you need. But if you want to get both, hey, it is always good to have a decent set of hex keys around. Personally, if they don't have another set of hex keys, sets like these are really nice because you can't freaking lose one of the hex keys. Because I know you, and I'm looking at all of you out there that are just like me, that have way too many sets of Allen or hex keys out there, and none of them have all of them. It's like every socket set that you have, you are missing the 10mm, and if you are not, you are clearly a god. Comment below and let me know if I am right, because it is always the damn 10mm every single time. I'm not salty about this. It's just a fact. But yes, lots of options out there. Of course, Project Farm, I do believe, did a test on hex keys, and Weira was one of his favorites. I do love Weira. They are a little pricey, but man, they look good. Don't buy some of these cheap ones, though. Look at quality hex keys. It is worth it. Weira, Weha, those are always good. And then Bondis for this screwdriver style. absolutely my favorite. It keeps you from getting fatigued. And if you are doing very small work where your hands tend to sweat a little bit, ones that are this size don't really have that problem of them slipping out of your hands. Really convenient. And if you are running a printer without any auto bed leveling, the TH3D EZABL is a great way to do it. The sensors are pretty darn good, and Tim does support his products really, really well. I mean, we had a client's printer with one of his bed leveling kits on it come into the shop, and Tim, live on a stream, actually worked with me on it to get it running. We found a really interesting bug in the code that was specific for AMD processors. My laptop is an AMD processor, so that was a cool thing. But that shows you the amount of care that Tim does put into these products. Now, they are imported and all of that, but I think Tim does a good job of packaging it up and making it a pretty reasonable deal. So if you do know someone that does have a printer without auto bed leveling, this is a great option to allow them to have auto bed leveling without any extra BS. But if they're more of a DIYer, the BL Touch is a great way to do that as well. Now, I will say stay the hell away from Creality's variant of it. They stole it from Ant Collabs, and that upsets me. Creality has a notoriety of stealing things. In fact, they are still being sued by Artec for their theft of Artec Studio intellectual property BS. We covered this in some podcasts. We'll link to them in the description so you guys can take a look. That is your cup of tea. But the BL Touch is widely renowned as one of the more affordable ways to do bed leveling, and they do have replacement probes that work just fine. I have old school BL Touches with the metal probes, the ones that are a little dangerous because the probes don't break. The entire BL Touch will just break. But I will tell you, they are repeatable, they are accurate, and they are very lightweight, and they can work on any surface, whether it is metal or non-metal. That's what makes the BL Touch a great option. Now let's move into some of the fun for ye resin fanboys. We've got the lanolin nitrile chemical resistant gloves. These things will stand up to basically anything you put them up to, whether that is resin, alcohol, most cleaners. Hell, I'm fairly certain they're certified for sulfuric acid. They come with legitimate certifications that they're proper. And yes, they're big, they're ugly, and you lose all of your dexterity. But if you are working with raw resin, which remember, resin is toxic, you want to make sure that you are doing it safely. Because if you're not doing it safely, you're gonna get yourself hurt. And that means we have one more person that has a bad experience in the 3D printing industry because they did something stupid. Don't do something stupid. Wear your PPE. Always. They're cheap. Just buy them. Seriously. It's not worth getting hurt. For $13 retail, just buy them. And if you do want to save yourself the effort of dealing with cleaning build plates and all that BS, wash and cure stations are awesome. They can be a little pricey. The Wash and Cure 2.0 from Anycubic is normally $149. I do have the larger one, and we have an original Gen 1 Wash and Cure that is dead, and Anycubic is no longer supporting it, so that's a bummer. So I just have it hanging around. We will eventually Arduino control it one day, but for right now, I have the 2.0, which I really do like. They are very large, so just be aware. Elegoo has their own options as well. They've got the Mercury X bundle, which, yes, is over $100. They don't have it shipping from the US, unfortunately, but for $170, this is nice if you want your washing and cure stations separate. Personally, I do prefer the Anycubic Wash and Cure Plus, where it is a one solid unit, because ultimately this takes up double the amount of counter space. Now, if you are running more of a farm, you might find that this is more valuable to you because you have one dedicated wash station, one dedicated curing station. But you can DIY a curing station really easily with some UV LEDs nuts. And the way that you're able to do this is just either with some string lights and a metal trash can, or even a 1, 2, or 5 gallon paint bucket. Just run a bunch of LEDs in there, some tin foil, and you're pretty much done. You might also have some left over to call yourself a Prusa hater. depends on what you want to do. These ones here specifically are ones that I love. I don't like them in 12 volt. I like them in the 3 volt. So do try to find them in the 3 volt. But the 3mm 3 volt UV LEDs are awesome on the wires already, because you put a little button cell battery and you can put them up into your drain holes to cure the insides of your models. You can look at these larger style LED floodlights. They're okay. Realistically, I think for most people's needs, something like this would be fine. Maybe some UV LED strip light, and maybe one of these little flashlight pens or two. Because remember, we have the sun, and the sun is a great way to cure resin parts. Just don't leave them outside too long. Go outside and get a little bit of sun. I know he sits here saying this with how pale he is, but UV LEDs are cheap. Go get some if you don't have them already. And if you do and you don't have the really nice 3mm ones, they are awesome for curing the insides of your parts. From there, we've got museum wax, and I'm normally a blue tack guy, but I am told for those that do painting or want to get into painting, museum wax is some of the best stuff out there. It's basically a clear tack adhesive stuff. It's like blue tack, but it doesn't leave any residue, and it is great painting minis where you can stick them to things, do the painting you need, take it off, peel off the museum wax, and use it later on. So great value there, relatively affordable. Can't hate it, and I'm told a little bit goes a long way. So if you like resin printing, you want to get into painting, or someone you know wants to get into painting, museum wax is a great, cheap little stocking stuffer that you can get them. It's nice and simple. I think they'll get good value out of it. Of course, silicone tools in general, but specifically silicone spatulas, are awesome for stirring resin. Silicone is softer than your FEP or NFEP, so you're not going to scratch it, assuming there's nothing stuck to your FEP. Now, you don't have to get them from Amazon. You can go to your local dollar store and get one. Just make sure it's good silicone. You can also go to your local grocery store and get silicone as well. You don't have to go to Amazon for this. But my preference are the ones with the 90-degree edges like this. That way you can get right up to the edge of your resin tank and be able to stir them up. Do not get the ones with the little paintbrush in it. That's just, please don't use the paintbrush for resin. Resin is toxic! You've been warned. We would normally recommend resin on this list, but unfortunately, if you don't know what they're going to print, what they want to print, or anything like that, it is tough to recommend resin. If I did have to recommend resin, I would say Soraya is one of my favorites, but again, you kind of have to know what the person is into when it comes to resin printing. It's not as easy as just buying PLA or PETG. That is just generic, easy to use filament. Resin is way more specific and is a lot tougher to deal with if it's not the right color or the right material. There are other brands of resin out there. Soraya is not the cheapest. It is not the most expensive, but I do find it is a great middle ground between price and performance. If you are looking for resin or FDM accessories, of course, Wham Bam is a great place to do that. With their FBS, their flexible build systems for FDM, the Mutant, hot boxes, flexible build systems for resin, as well as the slap mats, they are awesome. A lot of you say, well, I can just go get a dog food silicone mat. It will do the same thing. Yeah, it might. It's about 1/4 the thickness, and the walls are at least half the height of the ones that Wham Bam does. They are specifically designed for resin printing. They are thick. They can handle a lot of spilled resin, and they are easy to clean up, as most silicone is. And I love their little mini slap mats. They're great for bottles of resin. When you pour everything in, you get that little drip that comes down. I use them as coasters because I think they are awesome coasters. And you know what? A 4-pack for $8. Nice and easy, although I do believe this is 20% off because I'm fairly certain they are a $10 pack of 4. But if you do catch this outside of their Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals, you can use code Musketeers 2022 through the end of 2022 to get 10% off your entire order at Wham Bam. We like the guys over at Wham Bam. We think they make great products, and we will be testing out their flexible build systems for resin, because if you don't print a lot of very large resin parts, these are awesome. If you do have something like an Elegoo Jupiter, you need their strongest system. or you have the potential chance for it to shift. We do like their hot boxes if you do live in a cold climate. However, they are a little bit over that $100 price point. But if you are willing to stretch your budget just a little bit, I do believe they make great gifts, especially for those that are in the colder climates, or they can be printing with things like ABS, ASA, polycarbonate, or nylon. Accessories like this are great excuses to include something like a polycarbonate or an ASA and say, hey, I want you to print me this part. And they're gonna say, well, I don't have that material. Well, okay, here you do. But my printer's not enclosed. Well, now here it is. See, you can do this whole red herring gift giving, and that's just so much fun to watch them realize that you've solved the entire problem. That is awesome. It's one of my favorite things to see. Of course, metal funnels are always good when you are pouring out your resin back into a bottle. You can get the ones with the filters, although I find the filters clog pretty much instantly. So I find it's just easier to use a regular hollow funnel and some coffee filters. It gets the job done just fine as well. Or, you know, just don't have chunks of resin floating around. I think that's probably the easier one to do. And then syringes. Syringes come in a myriad of fun fruit flavors. We have the ones with the curved tips. They're normally the dental syringes. Those ones are great for getting solvent like IPA or mean green or whatever your preference is up into your parts to get some of that excess resin out. And ones with lure lock tips like these can use standard blunt tip needles where you can just buy long steel needles and bend your own slowly so you don't kink it, but you can bend your own. Of course, you are able to 3D print lure lock standards, so you could do something like that as well. Lots of options available out there on Amazon. We'll link to some that we like down below. But let me know what you guys think are some really good values for 3D printers, right? Obviously, materials are always good, hot ends and upgrades and all that fun stuff. But if I missed anything, put it down in those comments below. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Of course, videos still coming multiple times a week, but we did want to get this one out a little bit further out from the major holidays, so you do have enough time to plan and get for whomever you might be getting gifts for, whether it be yourself or somebody else. But let me know if you are into the 3D printing industry, what you would like to get within reason. Try to keep it under $100, please, in those comments down below. And that way, give some of the viewers some more options. And then let me know what you guys thought of my list. I thought I did a pretty good job. Love to know your opinions. But that's all I have for you guys today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one.
Hey, real quick before you go, I know you're looking for bloopers. Don't worry, there'll be some after this. It's my mom's birthday, so wish her a happy birthday in the comments down below. We didn't know when we were going to post this video, so I didn't put the happy birthday thing in it. So here's a happy birthday thing. Wish my mom happy birthday in the comments. Take care, guys. Clappity clap, clap, clap.
Hey, thanks so much for watching this video, and a massive thank you goes out to all of our Patreon and YouTube channel member supporters whose names are listed right next to me at the $5 tier and higher. Remember, if you want to join this elite group of Musketeers, you can click those links in that description down below and pledge for as little as $1 a month to help this channel be able to afford the videos that it makes way too damn often. Right below me will be our buying guide from last year, so you can see how my opinions have changed from last year to this year. And right next to that will be our tour of Printed Solid, which has been rated as nothing short of exciting. I will see you guys down in those comments and in the next one. Take care.